Stop everything you're doing. Seriously. Because just when it looked like this divorce drama was finally winding down, when the headlines were starting to cool, the speculation was losing steam, and everyone assumed the messiest chapters had already been written, everything changed in a single moment. One unexpected entrance, one unscheduled appearance, and suddenly what was supposed to be a quiet procedural divorce hearing turned into something much darker, much louder, and far more explosive than anyone saw coming. The courtroom doors opened, and in walked Porsha Williams. Not a lawyer, not a producer, not a witness listed on the docket. Porsha Williams, uninvited, unannounced, and allegedly carrying information so serious that multiple people in the room reportedly froze where they sat. Pens stopped moving, heads turned, conversations died mid-sentence. According to insiders, even the judge looked up with visible confusion, as if silently asking the same question everyone else was thinking. Why is she here? And that's the question we need to start with. Why would Porsha Williams show up to Kandi Burruss's divorce hearing with Todd Tucker, a case that, on paper, had absolutely nothing to do with her? Was it coincidence? Concern? Or was this a calculated move designed to blow the entire case wide open? Because according to whispers that started spreading almost immediately, Porsha didn't come to spectate, she didn't come for support, and she definitely didn't come for reality TV theatrics. What insiders are calling it is far more serious than that. They're calling it a bombshell, and not the kind that fuels gossip blogs for a day or two, but the kind that shifts narratives, rewrites public images, and permanently changes how people are seen. If even half of what's being whispered behind courthouse doors is true, then this wasn't just a hearing, it was an exposure event. The moment Porsha Williams stepped into that courtroom, everything shifted. Not symbolically, not emotionally, but literally. The air changed, the energy dropped. According to multiple sources present, the room felt tighter, heavier, like everyone suddenly realized they were witnessing something that was never supposed to happen in public. This hearing was meant to be clean and controlled. No theatrics, no surprise witnesses, no explosive revelations, just paperwork, financial clarifications, and a quiet path toward closure. Kandi Burruss reportedly arrived prepared and composed, emotionally detached from a chapter she'd already begun closing in her private life. Todd Tucker sat across from her, stiff and quiet, visibly tense but still projecting that familiar confidence, the same calm, collected image he's maintained for years. And then came the sound that insiders swear cut through the room like a knife. Click, clack, click. Porsha's heels echoed across the courtroom floor, each step drawing more attention, each second stretching longer than the last. According to witnesses, she didn't rush, she didn't argue with security, she didn't demand attention. Instead, she waited, calm, patient, almost unnervingly confident, like someone who knew the room would eventually have no choice but to listen. When she finally spoke, it wasn't loud, it wasn't emotional, it wasn't dramatic, it was surgical. Multiple courtroom sources allege that Porsha requested permission to submit information she believed was relevant to the financial disclosures in the divorce case. That single sentence reportedly changed everything, because suddenly this wasn't about relationships or feelings, it was about money, and more specifically, money that may not have been disclosed. Todd's legal team reportedly objected immediately and aggressively. They argued she wasn't a party to the divorce, that her presence was inappropriate, that this was a publicity stunt. But according to whispers circulating afterward, all of that resistance collapsed the moment one word entered the conversation: LLC. That word allegedly caused Kandi's attorney to lean forward, it caused the judge to pause, and it caused Todd Tucker's body language to shift so dramatically that multiple people noticed it at the same time. Confidence reportedly turned into discomfort in a matter of seconds because what Porsha was allegedly pointing toward wasn't gossip or personal drama, it was documentation. Sources claim financial documents were referenced showing long-term activity connected to a business entity that had never appeared in marital disclosures. Monthly payments, consistent amounts, categorized in ways that looked clean enough to avoid scrutiny, but irregular enough to raise serious questions once highlighted. The kind of financial trail that doesn't scream scandal at first glance, but becomes impossible to ignore once someone draws a line through it. And then came the moment insiders say sucked the air out of the room entirely. A child. Not hers, not Kandi's. Another one. Now, to be clear, nothing was officially ruled in that moment. No names were confirmed on record. No conclusions were drawn. But according to people present, the implication alone was enough to completely alter the direction of the hearing. Because if even fraction of that allegation carried weight, this divorce was no longer about separation or incompatibility. It was about concealment.
Suddenly, Todd Tucker's carefully curated image, the supportive husband, the behind-the-scenes builder, the steady partner, started to look less like authenticity and more like performance. And the reaction in the room reflected that shift immediately. Phones buzzed, texts flew, people whispered. Even without details, everyone knew something irreversible had just happened. What stunned observers even more was Kandi Burruss's reaction, or lack of one. According to sources close to her, she didn't erupt, she didn't cry, she didn't demand explanations. Instead, she paused, took a breath, and gave a look that insiders described not as shock, but as confirmation, as if something she had long suspected privately had just walked into the room and spoken out loud. By the time the court called for a recess, it was clear that whatever this hearing was originally supposed to be, it wasn't that anymore. When the courtroom reconvened, the atmosphere was no longer neutral. It wasn't loud or chaotic, it was heavy. The kind of silence where everyone senses that something big is about to crack, but no one knows who it will fall on first. According to insiders, the judge didn't return to emotional matters or custody logistics. He went straight to finances. That alone spoke volumes. Divorce hearings don't pivot to spreadsheets by accident. That kind of shift suggests something surfaced behind the scenes, something that didn't match the story already on